Hi friends, welcome to my studio. I'm Katherine Holman and today I'm going to be showing you how to draw a stag, which is a deer with antlers. You can download a PDF of this step-by-step tutorial at ghostthechristmasstag.com, and I'm going to take you through the steps right now in this video. So to start, I'm just going to be using this regular pencil. I do have an eraser that's bigger, but I think this eraser will be fine, so you don't really need any intensive art supplies for this. I'm also going to be using a black pen to go over my pencil. To begin, we're going to be making some geometric shapes that will actually begin to look like a cave drawing of a stag. And I hope you notice that I'm using my pencil loosely, I'm sketching, I'm going to be using my eraser. This drawing process is all about looking at the proportions and how they fit together. So it's sort of like a puzzle piece. And there are some elements that go together when you're drawing a deer or a stag that will make it look more like that animal. So to start, we have the neck that's attached to sort of the front of the body. It's not on top of the body. So look at that first. And then as you go, you'll see I'm using my eraser. I felt that the body here was too long. So one good measuring point is that the length of the neck doubled in size would sort of be the length of the back. So you can use that as a guide point. And also, we don't want to make the body too thick. So just keep in mind as you go, you're gonna, it'll take some practice, but we just want to keep him a little bit narrow in the middle. And I often feel that when I'm drawing a stag or a deer, that the head is much smaller than I thought it would be. So just keep that in mind. It almost looks like a little mouse. And once you add the body and the ear, it comes together as a deer formation. So now I'm doing the legs, and we just want to make sure they're long enough. So you can start by keeping that line going straight down from the neck and the body, and just sort of use your eye to guess at how long the leg might be. That felt good to me. The back legs of a deer or a stag are also very definitive when it comes to recognizing the animal that you're drawing. So the way the legs bend will also signify that yes, this is a deer. And now for the fun part, adding the antlers. Now you can do this any way you'd like. They basically start small at the top of the head and get bigger and bigger as you go farther back. Because this is not a realistic drawing, we're doing a fantasy story here, you can make them go across the entire page if you wanted to. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. One last step before we're ready to add our pen is to add the thickness of the back legs. So you'll see I'm using some lines to sort of get to that hip area of the stag. And actually, as I do this, I've noticed that the back rear leg is out of place. So I'm just moving it a little bit farther back. Again, using my pencil, sketching, looking at the proportions, how they fit together, and definitely using my eraser. Your eraser is your friend. Deer or stag legs are also quite thin at the bottom. They have more muscle in the upper part of the leg, but it tapers down to almost a bone width as you get to their little feet. Just a few finishing details, using my eraser to sort of clean up my lines before I add the pen, and marking where the eyeball is going to be, and a little line for the ear too. So now we're ready to add our black ink. I'm going to be going over the contour of the drawing. Now, starting with the antlers, I just wanted to show you that I'm going outside the pencil lines a little bit, so we will end up with a more solid interior area to color or leave alone, but basically we're making sure that these antlers look impressive and heavy, just like we might see in a majestic stag from a storybook. I'll continue on with the contour here, adding a little line for the ear and ignoring those inside lines, the ones that defined our geometric shapes. I'm not going to be tracing those over. So you want to make sure you go straight down with that foreleg because that's the one in the front. and there'll be a line separating the back leg to indicate that that's the one behind. I am adding little hooves for feet. This is something that you can add or not. It might take some practice, but basically you want to taper the leg and add a little hoof with a little back heel, and that will look a lot like a stag foot. Tracing the back of the stag, which is a little bit rounded, I will also add a tiny little tail at the end. All these little details will help make it feel more like a stag. And I'm going to zoom in to show you how to add a little subtlety to the eyeball dot. So it's sort of like a half dot with a little eyelid over it, and that is a little bit more realistic to how we might see the profile of a face of a stag or a deer. All right, time to get that eraser in action. I've given it a few minutes. I want to make sure the ink is dry, and just blow on it, give it a few minutes just to make sure you're not going to smudge your ink with that eraser. For a finishing touch, I'm just going to add a little bit of color. I've decided to keep my stag as the white stag, but obviously you can do any color you'd like. When you're trying to make an animal look white, you just want to add a little bit of shading. Maybe that's with a gray or a blue, and that'll give it that sort of glow while keeping the middle white. And then I'm going to add little pink ears because the real ghost has pink ears and a pink nose, and some shading on the antlers. And then the very base, just a little shadow underneath the feet to give it a sense of place.